Welcome to Drawing with Freehand Lines. Today we'll be doing a simple sketch and watercolour of a leaf. It's a great present for someone, or a card, some sort of keepsake, and I really enjoy these kind of sketches, particularly this time of year when leaves are changing and you can use different colours to make something wonderful. Starting with a simple circle, leaves tend to be circular in their form or oval, and that gives a really good structure for now filling in details. Start with the stalk, going from the top to bottom, and start to bring in some of those veins that actually come back to the stalk, a little bit like a river pattern from above. This is a really good way to start to draw and structure out in pencil what you're going to draw in pen soon. Once you have your outline complete, you can grab your pen. Here I'm going to use a 0.1 pigment liner. This is a pen I tend to use on virtually all my watercolour paintings. It's permanent ink, so once this dries it is completely waterproof and it's fade resistant as well, so it lasts for a very long time. And I use this to just outline the kind of details I need. Here I will follow the pencil drawing, but I will start to skip around the edge of the pencil to create the edge of the leaf, to create that detail that you need. That's really going to be important when we start to paint. And as we finish the pen work and the leaf looks quite detailed, we can move straight onto painting. The pen will be dried straight away. I will start with yellow ochre, one of my favourite greens. This provides a really good base, and it's just really fun to sort of dab it on, spread it around, add more paint. As you may have seen from my other videos, I tend to use tube paints. This allows more paint and to me to be able to play with that more on the surface quicker, as opposed to a pan where you've got to dissolve the pan into the water. Adding a little bit of yellow now around the edges. Remember that the green is still wet at this case. Usually I layer paints up and allow to dry in between, but here I'm just having a bit of fun. So I'm actually teasing the edge of the green with the yellow, and that allows some of the yellow to soak in to the green. As I've finished one half, I switch back to green and start to dab on and move towards the other. At this point, the first layer of green has dried, so it allows me to add a few more layers of dots of green, which will actually therefore give a bit more layering to the leaf and a bit more detail. And it's those sort of things that really will add depth and interest to the painting. Adding more density where the stalk meets the base of the leaf. Leaves tend to be lighter around the edge, darker in the middle, so reflecting that in this leaf design is really great. Now, and a really interesting point now, the paint has dried just enough that I can now use some sepia ink, some brown ink, to actually start with a fine brush, as to say, to actually start to draw in some of those veins, some of the key veins. This is a leaf which is fallen from a tree. It's starting to yellow at the edges. It's maybe it's autumn time, and some of the browns are starting to show as well. So getting those greens, those warm yellows and warm browns really tends to make a really good natural colour. I have a pear next to me on the workshop. I'll eat that later. But effectively, it's similar colours that actually is in this leaf. So really good barometer of what colours we should use. Adding bits of brown now to really emphasize the decay On the wet bits, the brown will spread out more. On the dry, it'll be a little bit more defined. And on a leaf, that's kind of a really nice character and quality. So play with it and have fun. Once we have the basic colours done, we can move to a darker colour to actually start to get some of that shadow and depth in around the edges of the leaf. Make it almost look like it's sitting above the paper. That gives a really nice three-dimensional appearance. But we also have to remember the leaf is three-dimensional in its shape, so what we'll do is we'll add a little bit more darkness into that. This is a very simple leaf, it's not detailed, we're not going into the light and the curve of this. This is meant to be a simple illustration, a lovely little study, and a perfect gift for someone. And we can now admire the finished results. For a simple sketch, this is a great way of just also training yourself to create really lovely little botanical drawings. So hope that's been useful, and see you next time.